Hey guys, and welcome into the channel. Uh, to start something new here today, we're going to be pretty much reviewing every single Blackhawks game throughout the entirety of the season. No promises, but that's the goal. Today was game one. The Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Philadelphia Flyers in what was considered a home game for the Philadelphia Flyers. The game took place in the Czech Republic, a rare day game when it comes to the NHL, particularly on a weekday. Very strange. Luckily, this fucking guy had work off today, which was great. Let me get a little sip of water. I'm a little thirsty. But, this was, in my mind, at least from a Blackhawks perspective, very much what we saw last year in a lot of ways. Defensively, a lot of miscues, a lot of sloppy play from the defensemen, lots of turnovers leading to opportunities for the opposing team, in this case being, Philadelphia. Obviously this offseason, the Blackhawks tried to address, the defensive situation, bringing in Oli Mata, bringing in Calvin DeHaan, and a lot of people looking to see if that would make a difference. Obviously DeHaan was out today, so, you didn't get to see him. I thought Mata played well, him and Seabrook, that pairing, I thought was the best of the three pairings. But in terms of the defense, I thought it looked a lot like last year. Give up nearly 40 shots today in the game, and it makes it really difficult on the goaltenders when just time after time after time shots are being, thrown at you. I mean, I just think that particularly that second period was just dreadful to watch. There was no possession of the puck for the Blackhawks. When you got guys like Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves and Brandon Saad and Alex DeBrincat and Dylan Strome, and the list goes on with the high-end talent they have offensively, you have to be able to control the puck. Guys like Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves, particularly Patrick Kane, Alex DeBrincat more so than Taves, you don't want them out there expending so much energy defensively chasing the puck around. And that's what I thought happened too often today. So that's my major takeaway from today is the defense looked very similar to last year. But there's some reasons for that, I think, and we'll get at that. But quickly, let's go over some just quick notes I wanted to talk about from today's game. Offensively, we lost the game 4-3, but Alex Nylander, Alex DeBrincat, and Patrick Kane scored the 3 goals for the Blackhawks. Kaner has 3 points, 2 assists, a goal. He's a phenomenal player. I thought even for as good as he did today with 3 points, for his standards, I thought even he looked a little sloppy, and he even as much as admitted that in the post-game presser. He's that type of talent, though. He can get 3 points on a day when he's, got the flu. That's the type of guy he is. He's an elite offensive player, and he was fun to watch him today, even when I don't think he played as well as he can. But yeah, at the end of the day, we had 3 goals, and he had a goal and 2 assists. So without him, we potentially scored nothing. Alex Nylander, obviously his debut coming up from Buffalo. Holy shit, that's a really nice car. I thought that his debut was really good, really encouraging to see that snipe in the first period. He's got a lethal shot, much like Alex Brinkett, much like Dominic Kubalik. I mean, they have a lot of guys with really gifted shots offensively, a lot of quick snipers, and they can use that to their advantage. And when you got a guy like Patrick Kane who can distribute the puck to these guys, the more he plays with these guys, I mean, look at DeBrincat. The more he's played with him in the last year and a half, 2 years, it's gotten more lethal and more lethal over time. And I think that'll be the case with Kubalik and Nylander. And I would like to say Perlini as well. He's another guy that I think has a very, gifted, he's a very gifted offensive player with an above average NHL shot. But from an offensive perspective, Kane was the main guy contributing to all 3 goals. Eric Gustafsson chipped in with a couple assists. Duncan Keith with an assist. But what I wanted to talk about mostly was the defense, particularly the third pairing. Obviously, I came into this video talking about how the defense reminded me a lot of last year, a lot of sloppy play, and that was across the board defensively. But in terms of the 4 goals given up, let's keep in mind that Dennis Gilbert, who I do think is a promising young guy from the Rockford Ice Hogs, was called up and put in the game today because of the injuries to Connor Murphy and Calvin DeHaan. So he's not a guy that figures to be a key part of the top 6 this season, but he was forced into it today, and he had the turnover in the first period that was just abysmal looking, sloppy play. Credit to him, I thought he played better after that. I mean, he's certainly an aggressive defender. He was tied with the team lead with 4 hits. He's a physical presence out there, and he's obviously more of an old age defenseman. Lay his body into. He's not about speed and offense, but he had a real sloppy turnover. And Slater Cuckoo, I mean, I want to like this guy. As a 7th defenseman, I guess he's serviceable. But you saw again today, it just seems like too many times over and over he makes a stupid bonehead play, or maybe he's unlucky. I don't fucking know. But today, that was the second goal, right after we tie it, goes in off his body. The Philadelphia offensive player shoots it off the post, ricochets out. Cuckoo's coming in from like the circle, skating towards the net, hits off his body, goes right in to a Corey Crawford who's not even turned that direction. It just looked ridiculous. And it's like, as that happened, I look, and my mom don't give two shits about hockey, but I'm venting. I'm frustrated. Already in the first game of the year, I'm getting pissed at this defense. And I look to my mom, who couldn't give a shit less, and I say, of course that happens to Slater Cuckoo. And at the time I say that, she looks at me and says, who the hell is Slater Cuckoo? What a stupid name. But at the end of the day, and what a stupid play. Again, I think he got unlucky, but it was just like, of course that would happen to Slater Cuckoo, right? Fucking puck goes in off his net. Just looked ridiculous. Oh, gifs. I can see that from St. Louis Blue fans just sending that to me. But, so that third pairing was not great. Cuckoo and Gilbert. And let's keep in mind, Blackhawk fans, that will not be your consistent third pairing. Dennis Gilbert will be in the NHL, or the A-fucking-H-L most of the year with the Ice Hogs. And Slater Cuckoo will be up in the press box at best as the seventh defenseman most times. So I think a big key is getting Calvin DeHaan back and Connor Murphy, two of your better defensive defenders, if not your best two. And I think Calvin DeHaan will be back for the next game. Connor Murphy, who knows? He's always fucking hurt. He missed the opening game last year as well. But it doesn't appear to be a long-term injury. So when we get those two back, we'll get a more definitive look at what their actual defense is. What the fuck else do I got to talk about? Penalty-wise, we had 3 penalties, Keith, Seabrook, and Shaw. Don't even get me started on the Andrew Shaw penalty. Was a ridiculous call for a cross-check. Alex DeBrincat's on the ground in front of the crease he got cross-checked 2 or 3 times by the Philadelphia defender. No call. Shaw comes in, defends his teammate. Immediately the ref calls the penalty. I thought it was ridiculous. I think that's more of a reputation call because Andrew Shaw is known as like a gritty, chippy, maybe on the edge of being dirty type of player. Although I don't see it that way. Yes, he's chippy. Yes, he's very demonstrative and in your face out there, but I don't think he's dirty. I think he comes to the defense of his teammates, which is what the Blackhawks needed, and that's why he's brought back. But in terms of some of the stats for the teams, Philadelphia outshot the Hawks 38-31. At times it was more, there was a bigger difference than even that at times. Chicago kind of closed the gap at that at the end. Hits-wise, surprisingly, the Blackhawks did out-hit the Phillies 29-16. Blackhawks were pretty aggressive in terms of that. They had a lot of guys with some hits. Gilbert, Kubalik, and Kajula all tied with 4 hits apiece. I expect a lot of games for Andrew Shaw to get in there a few more times. Brent Seabrook, he didn't have any hits today, which is strange. I expect him to get some more. You add DeHaan and Murphy. I mean, there's going to be some physical play from some of these Blackhawk players. Kubalik, debut, I didn't really expect so much physicality from him, but 4 hits is pretty good. Pretty nice to see that. I was thinking he'd be more of just an offensive sniper, but saw some grit from him and some physicality, which is, you could never have too much of that, in my opinion. Face-off wise, the biggest issue with my, outside of the defensive turnovers today, the other biggest issue is face-off dot. Loss in terms of face-offs, Philadelphia won 36, we won 22. Got to fix that. David Kampf I liked him. I thought the first period to 2 periods, I was thinking David Kampf's really catching my eye. He's making a lot of plays. He's quick. He looks quick to the puck. He's breaking up a lot of plays. I just thought he looked good. But then I went to the stats, in between the second and third periods, and looked, and he was like 1 for 9 in faceoffs. He struggled against whatever fuck team they just played in the last game that was, that team in Berlin or whatever. Non-NHL players, he couldn't win faceoffs. That's got to get fixed. I envision when Kirby Dach comes, maybe next game or whenever he's back from the concussions, I think that there's a very real chance David Kampf will be slated on the right or left wing. I think he's better off there. Or play him down the middle if that's where you want him, but don't have him take faceoffs because he's abysmal in the faceoff circle. Taves, he won 36%, which is, he's normally above 50. So he had a bad day in the faceoff dot. Dylan Strome, as usual, struggled. Carpenter was the only man of the 4 centers that actually won his fair share of faceoffs. We got to get that fixed. Again, like I said before, this is a team that needs the puck to be successful. They don't want to be chasing, and a good way to do that is by winning faceoffs and controlling possession. They did not do that today. We play Philadelphia again in a few weeks. Hopefully when we play them in Chicago, we have a little more success in that respect. And the last thing I want to talk about is Corey Crawford. Obviously, nice to have him back for a season opener. Much better than lousy-ass Cam Ward in there. And I thought he kept us in the game at times. But when I look at it, Philadelphia had 4 goals, and 3 of them were particularly, in my mind, they were pretty soft goals. The wraparound, he was not down and ready. The one off of Cuckoo was the only one that was like, okay, that was not his fault. That was dipshit Cuckoo's fault. But the first goal on the Gilbert turnover, although it was an abysmal turnover by Gilbert, it was a shot. There was no one in front of him. I thought that Crawford should have stopped that shot. Let me know in the comments if you agree. And what the hell was the other goal? I can't remember what the other goal was off the top of my head, but I remember thinking he should have stopped that. So I didn't think Crawford was great. But again, when your defense is turning the puck over 100 times a game in your own zone, it makes it difficult on you. So although he had 3 goals that were kind of soft in my eyes given up, he also had some really good saves. He had one save with his right, or I think it was his right leg, that was pretty crazy to see. But it sucks with the loss, the season opening loss. It's disappointing. But we don't play again until Thursday, so we have 6 days to the next game, which means we're gonna be sitting there with 0 points for quite a while. But all in all, a lot of the same problems as we had last year defensively. Offensively, we need to control time of possession a lot more. Patrick Kane's a phenom. He's a superstar. I predicted, I didn't predict on here because I'm too lazy to make videos consistently. But that's going to change, though, I promise. But Patrick Kane, in my mind, I've talked to some people, I think he wins the MVP this year, or potentially can win the MVP this year. Obviously, 3 points in the season opener. It's a good start. So all in all, 0-1. Start the season. Got about, 6 days off till our next game. Home opener against San Jose Sharks. God, I don't want to wait 6 days, but I'm gonna have to. And I think we have 7 consecutive home. I think it's 7 consecutive home games coming up, which is pretty incredible. When you have these road trips to other countries, the schedule gets all wacky and all out of just ridiculous. And that's what's going to happen here. A big, long, spell of no games and then 500 home games in a row, which will then mean they'll have a big road trip coming up at some point. I just whistled again. But that's it, guys. A loss in the opener for the Blackhawks. I still think this team is talented, and I think this team is going to be better. I think they will return to the playoffs. We need to get Dahan, Murphy, and Doc in the lineup, hopefully by Thursday. And when we have all our guys in there, we'll see what happens. Get Slater's Cuckoo's lousy ass back on the press box. Get Dennis Gilbert back down in the AHL where he can continue to develop. I do like him, just not right now. But thanks for checking in, guys. I'll be back for sure Thursday for the next game review. Probably I'll do some videos in between then on something. Don't know what quite yet, but we'll see. But thanks for checking in, guys, and I'm out.